and welcome to our first UConn show of the season. I'm Joe Zone.
And hi, everyone. I'm Erin Connolly. We are less than 24 hours away from the first game of the season.
And we're going to kick off tonight with 3 things to know. First off, the Huskies have 6 straight home games. That means you have plenty of opportunities to head to the rent this fall.
Number 2, UConn is stacked with new coaches and players on both offense as well as defense.
And number 3, we just found out about it. The Huskies have a starting quarterback. Nick Evers gets the nod. He transferred from Wisconsin this spring. For UConn head coach Jim Mora, this is a season to find out some truth about where his program is headed.
So is it more like his first season when the Huskies won 6 games and went to a bowl? Or is it more like last season when UConn won just 3 games and several players left?
Or will it be somewhere in between? When I interviewed the coach earlier this week, he said he is anxious to find out.
I like their work ethic. You know, I like the way that they've come together when we brought in 37 new players. You know, I like the way that they've melded together and the way they support each other. I love the fact that they don't believe they're entitled to anything. They want to work for everything. I love the way they compete on the football field and do it in a healthy way for this program. I like these kids, you know. I mean, like these young men. They're good people. You know, it matters to them. They care about, you know, creating a really good football team at the University of Connecticut.
You talk about so many new players. Can they come in and bring you ideas and thoughts that maybe they've picked up someplace else that you might be able to use for your program?
Certainly they can, and we listen to them. You know, and here's what's interesting is when you watch some of these transfers, especially the transfers, and you're evaluating them on film, you see things that you like offensively or defensively, or you see ways that other coaches have used them that have, you know, shown them to be successful. So you're always picking up ideas. Coaches are a bunch of guys that we just plagiarize constantly, you know, as we create and try to put our own wrinkle on things.
I'm still trying to figure out how you get through this new world where you used to have a kid. You bring him in, you look at him, and he's a senior, he's your guy, he's done all these great things for you, know what to expect. Now you got a guy that somebody else had, somebody else has. You get him maybe 1 year. How have you been able to figure out how to analyze and get through all of that to know how good these guys are?
Well, you go off of what you've seen on film in the past, you know, their past production, and a lot of that is based upon the level of competition they played at. And so you do that, and, you know, you hope that you pick guys that come in and understand the team concept, and they're not just in it for themselves, they're in it for UConn football. And I think that, you know, as we stand here, you know, before our first game, that we've hit on some guys. You know, we've been able to bring some guys in that they are what they showed on film, and they are the type of people that we need to have success here at the University of Connecticut.
When you evaluate a quarterback, is there one thing that's the most important skill for that player to have for you to be your starter?
Ball security. You know, you handle the ball on every snap, and the ball is the game. You know, the ball's the bag of money. The ball's the keys to the Bentley. You know, whoever has it, you know, they're the rich one. They're the ones that win. So, taking care of the football is the #1 thing that you look for in a quarterback, and a lot of that has to do with his ability to make good decisions. And so, you know, those two go hand in hand: ball security and decision making.
I was looking at your schedule, and so each team has like one thing somebody says about them. This team is going to be explosive on offense, or this team will stop the run. What are we going to be saying about your team? Do you think the one thing people will be talking about week 1, week 2, week 3?
Well, I hope it's that, you know, they compete their tails off every single play, and they're violent and they're physical, and they play hard. You know, I think as a coach, one of the biggest compliments you can ever get as a coach is when a fellow coach says, "God dang, your team really plays hard." You know, I mean, that gives you a sense of pride. You know, because that's you have to be able to do that to ever have a chance to win a game. So I want people to look at us and say, "God dang, they play hard," you know. And I want them to say, "Hey, they find a way to win." You know, they find a way to win a game.
You got a 6-run home stand this year. We want to get the fans in that building. We want to get them fired up. What would you say to the real, not just the diehard, but that fan who's just waiting for a reason to jump on?
I would just say, I would say it to our team rather than the fan, because and I really truly believe this. It's our obligation as a football team to bring that person into the stadium by the way we play. So, watch us these first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, see if you see something you like, and come out and test the waters, and hopefully we can encourage you to keep coming back. That's part of our job, is to go out and play football that invites people to come to the stadium. They say, they ask their kid, what do you want to do today? It's a Saturday. They say, I want to go watch UConn play. Who's UConn play this week? That's what we've got to be able to generate.
Year 3 right now for the head coach. Usually that is when head coaches have their roster filled with the players that they've recruited, players they've developed, players that they expect will have a big role on the team.
But things are obviously so much different now in the transfer portal world of college sports. Jim Mora has more than 30 new players on his roster, and not a lot of time to see what kind of impact they are going to have. Besides new coordinators on both sides of the ball, there's the all-important position of quarterback, and there is a new player there. Jim Mora, this week, as we told you, named Nick Evers his starter. The redshirt sophomore transferred to UConn from Wisconsin, and his ability as a dual-threat quarterback really adds a dimension to the Huskies' offense that could help them create more explosive plays through the air and on the ground. Evers is someone UConn heavily recruited in the transfer portal and invested a decent amount of NIL money into.
When you go get Nick Evers, you're hoping that he becomes the guy, and you're cheering for them all, and you're pushing them all, and you're coaching the heck out of all of them, and you're loving them all up, but you're hoping deep down that, you made the right decision, that you can really solidify that room. And I think that room's pretty solid right now.
And to this point, Evers has only taken 1 snap in his college career, and this is the 3rd team he's been on in the last 3 seasons. Before joining UConn, he spent time at Wisconsin and Oklahoma. As you know, UConn's football season kicking off tomorrow, so let's take a closer look at the Huskies' full schedule.
As we mentioned, UConn opens the season on the road at Maryland tomorrow. I'll be there with the highlights and the post-game reaction for our early and late news. UConn's first home game is Saturday, September 7th. The Huskies take on Merrimack at Rensselaer Field. Kickoff set for noon. That game will air live right here on Channel 3 and our sister station, The Wax. So if you can't be there in person, well, tune in for all the action, plus a live halftime special from the field.
Then the Huskies are back on the road against Duke, and after that, it is 6 home games in a row, starting September 21st against Florida Atlantic, then Buffalo, followed by Temple on October 5th.
After that, it's Wake Forest, Rice, and Georgia State come to Connecticut for games at Rensselaer Field. The Huskies finish the season with 3 straight road games, all in November, facing UAB, Syracuse, and UMass.
And there are so many opportunities to see the Huskies on the field this season. Tickets are available right now. Scan that QR code you see on your screen and get your football tickets today.